This will be a basic walkthrough of the KeyView3 software. We will cover getting the laser connected to KeyView, using KeyView to move the laser head, and using the sequencer to set up a sequence that will run on the ME-3. First, you will need to set the laser's IP address through Marking Builder. Open up Marking Builder. From here, click on Connection and click on Ethernet Communications Setup. Marking Builder will look for the laser that is connected to the PC through the Ethernet cord. Choose the laser marker that is connected and click on Assign IP address. Type in 192.168.1.2 and click OK. Be sure to select the laser marker with the new IP address in the previous window and click on Select. Now click on the laser marker tab and then Unit Setup and then Communication Setup. A new window will pop up. From here, make sure that the Obtain an IP address automatically is unchecked, then click OK. Click OK on the pop-up message as well. Now the laser controller's IP address is set. We will now go over a brief summary of making a sample marking program to transfer over to the laser controller. Before making the program, make sure that your laser model is selected in Marking Builder. This is different from what was done earlier in the video. Click on File, then click on Model Selection, then click on the drop down to find your model series. Then choose your laser model and click OK. Here, we will do a simple text program. Clicking on the text string option will bring up another window. Here we will type in test. Clicking on next will bring up the layout options. This gives you the ability to place the mark where it needs to be within the marking area. Clicking next will bring you to the marking parameter settings. This is where you enter in your particular marking parameters for your part. Now click on Complete. Now to transfer this or any program onto your laser controller, you will have to click on the Transfer Load button. From this new window, choose a slot for your program to be transferred to. Now click the Transfer button. Type in a name for that program and click OK. If this next screen pops up, click on Transfer. This just syncs the computer's time to the laser controller. Click OK on the next screen. Now you have successfully transferred over a laser program to the laser controller. Now we can move over to the KeyView3 software. Open the KeyView3 software. Click on the Laser Settings tab. From here, you'll be able to choose the model of the lasers that you're going to connect to your ME-3. Click on the drop down and choose the correct model of your laser. Next, in the IP address box, type in 192.168.1.2. Now you can click on the Connect button. You will see a green process bar advancing at the bottom of KeyView. Once KeyView finishes connecting to your laser controller, you will now have the ability to see all the laser programs that are saved on the laser controller by clicking on the drop-down menu within the Laser Program tab. You will also have access to a few laser controller buttons. The first one is the Zoom All button. This will show the full view of the laser program that is chosen in the drop-down list. The zoom blocks will zoom in to show just the area that the blocks in that particular laser program. The guide laser button will turn on the guide laser of the laser to show where the mark is located inside of the machine. And the distance pointer will activate the built-in distance finder of the laser to put the mark in the center of the focal distance. Clicking on the Axis tab at the top will bring up the controls for moving the laser head. The ME-3 and ME-3X will only have Z-axis. The ME-3 Max will have X, Y, and Z axis movements. If you have the optional index rotary, there will be an R axis movement. Within each axis box, there is a readout of the current position of the laser head relative to that axis. For example, the laser head is currently at 100 in the x-axis, 0 in the y, and 150 in z. This is also true if you have an optional rotary index for the r-axis. There are positive and negative jog functions that you can manually move the laser. When you click on either and hold the click, you will see the current position move. There are options for manually moving relative and absolute movements. Clicking on relative, you'll be able to move the laser head the amount that is entered in the target text box relative to where the laser head is currently located. Choosing absolute, you will move the laser head to that position relative to absolute 0. For example of each, starting with the relative movement. If you are at position 100 and you type in 50 in the target text box, you will move the laser head to 150. In the same scenario, with the laser head in position 150, you have chosen absolute and type in 50, you will move the laser head to 50. This is true for any of the positional options. Also, if you type in a value in the target text box and hit enter on the keyboard, it will always move in the absolute move function. There is also a reset alarm button that is used if that particular access drive has a fault or error. You can also use the plus and minus laser jog buttons on the front panel of the machine to move the laser head. You do this by choosing which axis you would like to move in this tab. The ME-3 and ME-3X will only be able to jog the laser head in the Z axis. If you have ME-3 Max, you can choose which axis to move with the laser jog buttons by choosing which axis you would like to move. If you have the optional index rotary, you will have the option to move that as well with the laser jog buttons. Now clicking on the sequencer tab, it will bring up the window that you can program a sequence for the ME-3 to run. To start off, click on New Sequence. Give your sequence a name and click OK. A quick overview of the buttons within the sequencer. Load current position, go to position will be discussed later in the video. Apply step is used to update that particular step with the option that is chosen. Add step is to add a step to the sequence. Insert step is to add a step below the step that is highlighted. Delete step is to remove the step that is highlighted. Now you can start building your sequence by clicking the Add Step button. From here, you can click on the drop-down menu within the sequencer and choose an option. You can add as many steps as you need for your machine to run. The first option is to change laser program. From here, you'll be able to choose which laser program you want called up to mark from all the laser programs that are saved onto the laser controller. You will have to type in the number of the laser program into the text box. Once that is done, click on Apply Step. The next option is the Move function. This will tell the machine where to move the laser head. If you have an ME-3 or ME-3X, you will only have the option to move the laser head in the Z position. If you have an ME-3 Max, you will have the option to move in the X, Y, and Z position. Also, if you have the optional index rotary, you will have the option to move in the R position. As a note, the R position will only allow for 360 degrees of rotation. Also, the values are movements in reference to absolute positioning. Absolute 0 for the ME-3 and ME-3X is the laser head all the way down. Absolute 0s for the ME-3 Max is the laser head all the way down, all the way to the right, and all the way forward. There are a couple of options to populate these fields. You can click on the Load Current Position and it will insert the current position of the laser head in each of these fields. This is helpful if you manually move the laser head in the position first. The next option to populate the field is to input the value straight into the text boxes. Once you have your position that you want in the fields, click on Apply Step, and that will update in the sequencer. Also, you can use the Go to Position button to quickly go to that position that is currently in that sequence step. Please be mindful of programming moves within the sequencer so that you do not crash the laser head into any of the parts that are inside of the machine. You might have to add several steps to move around the part. Also, if you use the Go To Position button, the laser head will move directly to that position, and that has a potential of hitting a part that is inside of the machine. The next option is Mark. This tells the machine at what particular point in the sequence you want to mark. Clicking on Apply Step will add it to the sequence. The close and open door options tell the machine when you want to close or open the door. Clicking on Apply Steps adds them to the sequence. The message option gives you the ability to set a message that will be displayed in the operator message box during that particular part of your sequence. Clicking Apply will add it to the sequence. The next option is the Fumex control. You have the ability to turn on and off the Fumex for that step. Populating the text box with 0 will turn off the Fumex, and putting a 1 in will turn on the Fumex. Clicking Apply Step will add it to the sequence. The delay option will add a delay within the sequence. Note, the number that you enter in the field is going to be in milliseconds. Clicking Apply will update the sequence. The next 3 items will only be used if you have a Keyence vision system installed on your machine. The last option is the work light function. This is the ability to turn on and off the LED light that is located inside of the machine. Just like the Fumex, 0 is off and 1 is on. As with all of the sequence options, clicking on Apply Step will update that step in the sequence. Once you finish making a sequence, you can click on Save Sequence to save the sequence. To open up an already saved sequence, you just have to click on the Open Sequence button and choose the sequence you want to open. There are a few manual buttons at the bottom of KeyView. The door open and close buttons, open and close the front door of the machine. Fumex on and off buttons will turn the fume extractor on and off. The move to home position by default is 0 for all axis positions. Fault reset is used to reset any faults within the laser controller. The lock screen button puts KeyView into a state where sequences cannot be modified. You will still be able to open up saved sequences. The unlock screen will grant you access to change and modify sequences. This is password protected. The camera button is only used if you have a vision system installed on your machine. The stop sequence will stop the sequence where it is currently at. This wraps up the basic walkthrough of the KeyView3 software. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to Worx Machinery. Thank you for your time and your business.